Hey Jules, it's Julia, and today I'm here with tips and tricks that could help you be a better murder mystery player. Obviously, I'm not the best murder mystery player in the world, and I am not saying that these tips will work 100%, but these are tips that definitely helped me out, and I hope that they will help you out too. I'm also sorry about the audio. My microphone isn't working for some reason, so we're gonna have to deal with the microphone built into my computer. Alright, so to start off, this video is going to be split into 3 different sections: innocent tips, sheriff tips, and murder tips. And like innocent, so tips that will help you as innocent, and so on. Starting with innocent. Alright, so my first innocent tip is to stay away from everybody. Even if you know they're sheriff, they could shoot you, they could be a new player, or even if you heard a death sound while they're near you. It could be somebody on the radio, they could have they could be matching with somebody and you could confuse them. The amount of things that could happen is a lot. If I said every single one of them, this video would be endless. But the point is, stay away from everybody. So my next tip is to stay close to the sheriff once you know who they are, but don't stick to them, because if they die, then you die. You want to be close so when they die, you can get the gun. And if they don't die and you win, well then good luck. Basically, here's an example. Now, this tip may seem like, it's an option or whatever, and that some people can escape, but it's really, really important. Because in small spaces, it's really difficult to, move around. And especially if it's a long, narrow area. So, what you want to do is try to avoid the small spaces. And, for example, in a map like Mill Base, try to stay outside as much as possible and don't go in the narrow little rooms. Because if you do, here's what'll happen. Now, this is kind of an obvious one, but staying still isn't really the best option, obviously, unless you're AFK and you can't move, you're doing something. But if you are in front of your device and you can move, then don't stay still, because it is obviously a lot easier for the murderer to get you, and it's just why would you stay still? That's suicide. Don't do it if you want to survive every round. Now, some people can trade while they're in a game, but it's pretty difficult, and if you're on mobile, it's pretty much near impossible. But you might be thinking, why not send a trade in the middle of a game? Because you don't know when they're going to accept. You could be being chased by the murderer and then they accept, and if you're on mobile, you can't move. And if you're on PC, you can't even move the camera. It takes up most of the screen and it's hard to see. So I just wouldn't recommend it if you don't want to die, which is pretty much probably the reason you're here. Now, what I mean by don't shoot until you're sure is don't shoot until you're sure who the murderer is. If they haven't even taken their knife out, then there's no reason to even shoot them. Unless they took their knife out or you saw them killing somebody, then don't shoot them because it could lead you to shooting the wrong person and losing. Now, this one's kind of self-explanatory, but if you still don't get it, don't walk with your gun out or take it out unless you're shooting, because the murderer, if they see you with your gun out, they're obviously going to want to kill you first, and you're gonna get targeted. So the chances of you dying are higher, even if they're a level 1 and you're like a max level player. The chances of you dying are still more. So to avoid that, only take your gun out when you're going to shoot the murderer. Now, predicting their next move could have a lot of different forms and shapes, but what I'm trying to specifically say here is, for example, if they're walking towards the right, then you want to shoot a little bit in front of them, because by the time the bullet gets to them, they'll be in that spot. And this goes the same for spam jumpers. If they're kind of laggy, it's easier, or if there's not a high roof above them. Basically, when they're jumping, if they're in the air, you want to shoot below them, so by the time they're on the floor, the bullet will be exactly where they are. And if they're on the floor, you want to shoot above them, so they're jumping and you get the shot. Now, this is once again really obvious, but if you're sheriff, you don't want to hide, because if you die, well, then the gun is gonna be the one hiding. So anybody else won't be able to find it easily. Like, say I hit somewhere and I thought, like, oh my gosh, it's a really good hiding spot. Well, if you die, then it's gonna be a really good hiding spot and no one will find the gun. So you don't want to hide. So if you die, other innocents can get the gun and make you guys win. So I definitely don't recommend playing with your volume all the way down, unless obviously you're like playing in the middle of the night or something, somebody's like sleeping next to you or whatever. But if you can, make sure that your volume is loud enough to hear it, because it is so important in so many ways. Here, if you're sheriff, when your volume is up, you can hear the murderer killing, and you can also hear what side it is coming from if you have headphones in, which is, again, super helpful. And not only that, even if you're a murderer, you can hear shooting coming from different sides. The point is, sound is really important, so I definitely recommend having your volume up. So, unless you are 110% sure that the group you're killing does not have the sheriff in it, or you are sure that you can kill the sheriff without anybody getting the gun, I don't recommend killing in a group, like a big group, because 9 times out of 10 the sheriff's there and they'll see you and know who the murderer is. And you don't want to kill in front of the sheriff, obviously, because you want them to not suspect you. So unless you are sure that you can defeat the sheriff, then I don't recommend doing it. When I say pretend that you're innocent, I don't mean don't kill anybody. I mean don't go out running around with your knife. That's not going to get you anywhere. Like, when I walk around with my knife in front of the sheriff, what do you think the sheriff's gonna do? Shoot you, exactly. So what you want to do is try to go into rooms with 1 to 3 people and kill them all, and then put the knife back in and walk out like nothing ever happened. And repeat this until you have everybody. Or unless there's like 3 or 4 people left in the whole game, then you can just walk around with your knife. You think that you can, like, if you are aware, because you want to be aware of your surroundings to make sure that the sheriff isn't going to jump scare you like ghost users do to me. Now, as I said earlier, if you know who the sheriff is, that's good for you, but it's bad for the sheriff, which is why I said that you shouldn't walk with your gun out. So what you want to do is, if you know who the sheriff is, eliminate them first. Why do I sound like I'm some boss telling my little child to go eliminate somebody? Anyway, so you want to kill the sheriff first, so you know, like, they're out of your way. And a lot of the time when you kill the sheriff and people know that the sheriff is dead, when you're walking out of the direction the gun is in, you'll probably meet somebody, so you kill them. And every time you walk away from the gun, you'll find somebody, which also kills a lot of people while you're killing the sheriff at the same time. Now, a lot of people camp because they think that way they will win, but spoiler alert, you won't. Because when you camp, you're wasting time, precious time that you can go be killing innocents in. So you don't want to camp, and what you want to do instead is stay in the area, but not standing exactly where the gun is. You may be thinking that, everybody says not to spam jump or whatever, but if you have a way to get spam jumpers, why shouldn't I spam jump? Because it won't help you in any way. All it does is slow you down, and it's a lot harder to aim when you're constantly moving up and down. So, I don't recommend spam jumping. Instead, what you should do is try going in a zigzag pattern, jumping every now and then, but not like keeping your hand on the space button. You want to jump a lot, but not to the point where it's spam jumping. Move around, don't walk in a straight line so the sheriff can easily get you. Try to move around so you're unpredictable and the sheriff can't predict your next move, but at the same time, don't spam jump because first of all, the sheriff will be able to get you, and second of all, it'll just slow you down and make the winning a lot harder. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!